falling oil prices impacted local capacities that have been developed by oil and gas service companies over the past 5 years?
Yeah, it has some negative impact, no doubt about that. For example, all of a sudden, some of the IOCs started to cut down on the cost of services you provide to them. Call you, please, want you to reduce your price. And you looked at it, you have to take care of overhead and other things, and yet sometimes you are not even able to break even, but they even say call down. So that's on its own is a challenge. But I want to believe it's temporary. The truth is, the price of crude oil has fallen by about 60%. So you must know that something has happened. It just can't go away. It will take some time to normalize. Even if the price chooses to stay where it is now, it will take some time to recover from it. And if it goes further down, more pain. And if it starts to come up, you then need to adjust. So really it's a challenge for everybody. But it's not enough to deter us from moving forward. But I see it as a great opportunity for us to look at other areas. Look at them genuinely, not just the talking type. There are so many things we can do in this country that we are not doing.
Before we go on to that, I'll ask you, I've heard some express the view that local content actually increases the cost of projects. Why that paradox?
You see, I've heard these stories. You say, look, for example, I give you an example. We provide, one of the subsidiaries will provide vessels to the IOCs. There was a time when we bid, they say our price was too high. And I believe was happening to a lot of other indigenous firms. But at that time, you find out that the cost of borrowing was so much in Nigeria. There was a time in my business, in my life business, we borrowed at about 46 per annum. We did that, not just from small banks, with big banks, first bank level at that time. There was a time the interest rate was as high as 46%. Imagine if you've taken that loan and you are competing with somebody who is taking a facility in abroad with 2%, let's say 5%, 6%, as against 46% interest rate at that time. How could you compete? It was difficult. But now we are going around that gradually. At least there are some Nigerian banks now that can give you facilities at about 10 to 15% if you are borrowing dollars. So that is one. But more than that, what the government should be looking at is not the immediate cost of providing these services, comparing it with foreign firms. No. Instead, take a projection. I want to develop 50, 20, 100 Nigerian indigenous firms in marine, for example, in fabrication, in this. The first 100 to come to that level, I want to support them to get there. That can be expensive. Why? Because you are doing some investments, and it will take time to reap it. The Europeans, the Americans, what they are reaping today is not what the present government have done for them. It is what their ancestors have done. If you travel to Europe, America now, you see, or you are looking at those, their tall buildings, the facilities, you say, oh, it's a great country. They will quickly point to you, please thank our ancestors. But we don't have that now. Why are we not ready to even make that sacrifice? So the government should do more. Just to say, look, we want to develop this company. So long they have integrity, they are honest, transparent in what they do. If you put 100 people to compete and you want to get 10, take the best 10. It's as simple as that. Don't compare with foreign firms when you are looking at local content development.
So how can we accelerate the succession process How can we move forward? So that the fall in oil prices and this exchange might actually be a blessing in disguise?
What I always tell people is that from my own experience, 36 years, if you as a businessman can believe, or an intending businessman, entrepreneur, can just believe that every Nigerian has a right to quality life, all you can see around you is opportunity, 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 opportunity for growth. But when you don't believe every Nigerian has a right to quality life, and you think when you have money, your relations are wedding, what happened to the rest doesn't matter, then we are caged. We're not going nowhere. Because look at this telecommunication. Before it was liberalized, it was a big man affairs. 090, 100,000 to get it, and few hands. You want to get it, you have to get a note from somebody, and big money is in all those kind of things. But when it was liberalized, at least the traders, everybody, are you therefore surprised that just for charging penalty of 200 per person, that MTN was is supposed to be fined for about 1 trillion naira? What is responsible for that? Population. So we have the population, but we don't believe that this population has a right to quality life, and that is why we are not growing. Otherwise, how do you rationalize that as big as this country, we don't even have managers of hospitality, people who can manage hotels successfully. Meanwhile, you have chains of hotels, say, coming from South Africa, coming from this, and it's just one person that will come from there and is running. And they dictate how they want to move and grow it. Whereas if it's in the hands of Nigerians, you can grow, in different ways. So really, the opportunities are there, but we are just looking at the narrow angle.
And speaking of opportunities, in most advanced economies, industrialization emanates from technical and vocational education and training. Why are we not paying more attention to these areas?
For me, it's one of our weakest points. It's so disheartening. Again, I am one of those who benefited from what they call crash program. So when the president was the Minister of Petroleum in 1977, and they suddenly realized that there were no sufficient Nigerians for the refineries they were building. Then they embarked on what was called crash program. That was where some of us were sent to Italy, some Germany, America, just to acquire know-how. Whereas, if we were planning ahead, there should have been technical institutions, universities of technology, that would have been in place. But we didn't do that. We can even say, let's take a look at China. See what has happened in China, where they sat down and said, look, we want to compete with America. And to do that was to embrace science and technology. There was a time most of the ministers in the China government, they were all engineers. It was deliberate. And see where they are today. Then look at India. When they decided that, look, they want to grow their economy, instead of just sending Indians to abroad for training and all of that, they established strong institutions in India. Today, this IT, you see that most of them from India. Today, people are going to India for treatment. Even from America, from Europe, people go to India because they have developed it. But all of that is as a result of serious encouragement for science and technology. But we are not doing that. And I hope this government will do so.
You listed the Arco group on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. What does the NSE need to do to encourage more oil companies to be publicly quoted?
Yeah, we have actually not listed this as such, but we are in preparation of doing that. And from what I can say, what would the NSE do? Of course, one of the main things they should is to ensure that there's good governance in the institution. And once that good governance is there, and what you are saying is verifiable and trustworthy, of course, you can be treated like any blue chip company abroad.
Why is it important for companies to give back to society via, what we call a CSR?
Very, very important. Like I said earlier, if you believe that every Nigerian has a right to quality life, as I said, there is abundant opportunity for business growth in Nigeria. So what does that mean? For example, the person you think is from Ajegunle, it doesn't need to have a good home. So for that reason, you cannot be planning to have a massive housing development because you don't think that person should live better than what is at the moment he is doing. But if you believe that that person in Ajegunle have the right to live at a quality home like you have in Victoria Land, in Ikoyi, you can see opportunities, growth. That's the person in Ajegunle, you can go there and spend some time if there's a hotel there, it doesn't matter. You can see growth, hotel business, roads infrastructure, people paying for electricity. For now, because of the location, you can't get them to pay for the electricity they are consuming. So you are shortchanging yourself, shortchanging the nation. So just believe that we all have, because you've been to Europe. If you are in London, it's sufficient for you to just have a small flat, not a mansion. When you come down, you see your neighbor, greet yourself. There is no molestation because the facilities are everywhere. So really, this is what will make us to be able to grow. Just believe that we all should live well. And with that, opportunities will be coming up. And you want to use a 6 shirt, a very beautiful this thing, and you don't think the person there can also have that, then how can you go and mass produce those ones? You cannot, because nobody's going to buy from you. But if you believe they can wait, fine. But at the end of the day, if you live so long, you reach 100 years, you will be begging to go. So there's a cut-off point. So what do you want to prove? So leave a legacy. So this is where the importance of give back, because you're not going to go away with nothing. So why are you acquiring what you cannot use stupidly? Why? So give more, give out, grow more people. And in my own little way, right from when I started business, because of the training I got, the federal government sent me on the training. One of the first things I did was to send 13 students of the Petroleum Training Institute abroad. Just get that exposure, get that training, not to come and work for me, but just have it because I benefited. And some of those people grew up to become professionals in their chosen field. There are some people we sent abroad for training. I know two of them are in one of these multinational organizations. So I did it at that time not to get anything from it. I was a time, for example, where this science and technology we are talking about, we have to organize a kind of award for best scientists we have in Nigeria, just to showcase them to the world.
Mr. Alfred Okoigun, we thank you for the time.
Thank you.
And we thank you for watching. Please join us next time when View from the Top returns. But between now and then, let's continue this conversation online at channelstv.com and follow me on Twitter at ModeleS1. Tweet me your thoughts on my conversation with Mr. Okoigun, MD, Arco Group PLC. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you sometime soon.